Hello, thank you for joining me and welcome. My name is Lauren and I am the Yoga and Fitness Program Coordinator at the McFetridge Sports Center. And today I'll be guiding you through a slow flow yoga practice where we will move the whole body, but we'll be focusing on strengthening the upper body. So not necessarily one part in particular, but just moving through poses, exercises, movements, what have you, that will strengthen the upper body. And for this practice, you will need a strap or something like a strap. So it doesn't have to be necessarily a yoga strap. It could be a belt, it could be a towel. It really could even be a cord, an extension cord, your phone charger, just something, and you're not gonna really be putting a whole lot of tension on it. I wouldn't, though, choose a stretchy band. Like if you've done physical therapy and they give you one of those bands, I wouldn't use something that has a give to it. Okay. That's for later, so we will come back to that, but we will start on our backs. So I like to bring a little something under my head for some support, but you don't have to do that. We'll start on the back. And again, the strap is for once we're upright, so you won't even need it while we're here on our mat. And you'll just come down into your back, maybe lengthen your legs all the way along your mat, or maybe have your knees bent and your feet flat. But just come into a really comfortable position, a position that takes little to no work. And as you settle into this position, shift your attention to your breath. Notice your breath. Notice how smooth and fluid your breath is. Noticing that one breath flows right into the next. Your breath is uninterrupted, smooth and steady. And of course, you are welcome to stay here just observing your natural breath. But I'll begin walking you through a breathing technique, a pranayama, that's called Viloma 1. Viloma means against the grain or against the natural order. So instead of a smooth, fluid inhalation, we'll divide the inhalation into 3 equal parts, pausing and holding the breath for a moment after each part. And then it will be followed by a smooth exhalation and then a round of a natural breath. I will walk you through it all the way. We'll only do a few rounds. So to begin, exhale completely, push all of the breath out of your lungs. And then inhale 1/3 of the way, pause, hold your breath. Now inhale 2/3 of the way, pause, hold your breath. Now inhale 3/3 of the way. Fill your lungs to their capacity. Pause, hold the breath at the top. And then exhale completely. A long, smooth breath out. Inhale naturally. Exhale naturally. Let's do that 3 more times. So inhale 1/3 of the way. Pause, hold your breath. Inhale 2/3 of the way. Pause, hold your breath. Inhale 3/3 of the way, fill your lungs all the way up, hold it at the top. And then exhale a long, smooth breath out. Inhale naturally. Exhale naturally. Let's do 2 more. Inhale 1/3 of the way, pause, hold the breath. Inhale 2/3 of the way, pause, hold the breath. Inhale 3/3 all the way to your capacity. Inhale all the way, hold it at the top. And then exhale a long, smooth breath out. Inhale naturally. Exhale naturally. final round. Inhale 1/3 of the way, pause, hold the breath. Inhale 2/3 of the way, pause, hold the breath. Inhale 3/3 of the way, fill your lungs up, hold it at the top, and then exhale the long, smooth breath out. And then completely return back to your natural breath. Breathe in a way that takes no effort, no concentration. Breathe with ease. Notice how you feel. Now keeping your attention inward. And if it feels right for you in this moment, you're welcome to set an intention for your practice, reflecting on a positive word or phrase, something that brought you to your mat. And then silently and slowly repeat that word or phrase, allowing it to settle in your heart. Know that if at any point in the practice you're finding that your mind is distracted or disconnected, come back to your mantra, come back to your intention. Now slowly start to deepen your breath. And then bring soft movements throughout your body. Maybe rock your head, wiggle fingers and toes, arms and legs. Move in any way that feels good for you. So maybe a full body stretch, hug your knees in, whatever you need. Know that that is sort of the underlying assumption throughout the class, that if at any point you're feeling like you want to do something different, or what I'm asking you to do doesn't feel good, you always can skip something, modify something, sit it out, whatever you need, because things should be comfortable. Okay. So when you're ready, come back along your mat. Let's lengthen the legs and lengthen the arms. So reaching fingertips and toes in opposite directions, like you just woke up from a long nap. So really stretching and lengthening. Now maintain the length, but walk both of your feet over to the top right corner of your mat. So legs are still long, making a long diagonal line across the mat. And then use your right hand to grab onto your left wrist or forearm. Gently pull the left fingertips up and over. So from up overhead, from a bird's eye view, you look like the letter C. Now you might even cross your left ankle over your right. Really feel the length in the left side of the body and take a deep breath here. And then inhale, slowly return back to the center, back to a straight, long line instead of right into the second side. Pause for a moment. And then keeping the legs long, walk them over to the top left corner of your mat. Left hand grabs onto the right wrist or forearm. Gently pull those right fingertips up and over. Now from up overhead. Again, you look like the letter C. You might even cross your right ankle over your left. Feel lengthening through the right side of the body. Take a deep breath. And then inhale, return back to the center. Legs back to the center. You can just let your arms come alongside your body again. Just take a deep breath. Okay, and we'll get moving. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, hug your knees into your chest. Maybe rock side to side one more time, or place the hands on the kneecaps, moving around like you're stirring a pot. One more moment. And then however you need to, make your way up to a seat, so you can rock through to the center or roll over to the side and push yourself up, whatever you need. But we're gonna come to a seat and we're gonna use the strap here. So I'm gonna sit on a block to support my hips and let my hips relax. Okay, and then the strap. Okay, So what we're gonna do here is more so sort of a fitness exercise, but it warms the shoulders up really nicely. And as I mentioned, we're gonna be focusing on strengthening the upper body. Shoulders are certainly one of those spaces. And even when we're gonna be working other spaces within the arm and the torso, your shoulders are still going to be moving and still going to be playing a role in that. So they just need to be warmed up. Okay, so I'm gonna grab the buckle part of my strap only because I just don't like the jingling sound. So I'm gonna hold on to it so it doesn't make that sound, but you don't have to do that. Again, if you've got like a phone charger or something, that's fine too. It really needs to be, like this I believe is a 6 foot long strap. This is certainly long enough. So, okay, so we want to grab onto the strap or whatever you're holding onto at wider than shoulder distance. So notice how much wider my fists are than my shoulders. We want it much wider to start. I'm also going to scoot forward just a little bit. Okay. So you're going to sit up tall. Now, often when we do this movement, your torso will feel like it wants to do this sort of rocking forward and back, which sometimes we do that in my class, but that's not what we're going for. The more you do this, the less your shoulders are warming up because your torso is now taking on the movement. So your torso has to stay still. So make sure you're avoiding that sort of action. So torso is going to stay still. Also, arms are going to stay straight. You're going to be tempted to bend your elbows throughout this movement. Keep them straight. If they bend, shoulders aren't warming up. You're not going to hurt yourself. You just aren't going to get the benefits of what we're trying to do. All right, so taking the strap wider than shoulder distance, stand up or sit up tall. Inhale as you reach the strap up over the crown of your head. Exhale as you let it fall behind you. Keep your elbows straight and your torso still. Inhale, reach it back up. Exhale, let it come down in front of you. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, let it come down. We're gonna stay here for a while. Okay, inhale up. Exhale down. Move with your breath. You do not have to move at my pace. That goes throughout the sequence, throughout the practice. And that also goes for not just when you're practicing at home by yourself, but also when you're in a group class, when you're in a public class with other students in the room and the teacher in the room. You are free to always do what you need to and move at your own pace. So always remember that. Okay. I'm giving you suggestions and sort of guidelines of how to move and certainly at the pace too. So do what feels best. Okay, the next time though that you bring the strap forward, if you're feeling like you could be taking on a little bit more sensation in your shoulders, and I'll talk about that in a moment, you might walk your hands, I'm gonna just walk one hand, a little bit closer to the center. And then same thing, torso stays still, shoulders are relaxed away from the ears, elbows are straight. Inhale, exhale. Okay, what we're doing is we're asking our shoulder to move through this, it might feel like it's a rotation because you're sort of tracing the circle, but it's actually more flexion and extension. But you're asking your shoulder to do this a lot because how often do you do this action? It's not something your shoulders are used to doing. So make sure you're not pushing so far that this is making you wince, make a face, or think, ow. I certainly can feel my shoulders right about there. I feel a lot. It's hard for me to maintain my thought process, to be honest, but it doesn't hurt. It's just very noticeable. That's where we're looking for in a lot of these poses, where you notice it, you feel it, it's very present, but you're not thinking ow, you're not making a face, you're not praying that this is over soon. Okay, let's do this just one last time. So one final time. If you need more sensation, which you might not, and that's okay, walk your hands a little closer, arms are straight, torso still. We're not doing this cat and cow. Torso still and tall, shoulders relaxed, arms are straight. Inhale and exhale. Okay, so the closer your hands are together, the more of a challenge this is gonna be. But you don't need to make it all that challenging if your shoulders are not asking for that. So shoulder issues and injuries are very common. I have one myself, but this is something I was doing a lot in physical therapy. And so this feels good for me now, but had you asked me 6 months after that shoulder injury, no, I would have laughed at you. The thought was laughable. So your shoulder might not go for this movement with your hands that narrow. That's okay. Let's do one more, literally just one more up, one more down, and then bring it back around. Okay, and then we're done with the strap. That was the only thing we needed it for. I'm just gonna toss mine off to the side. We're done with it. Okay, shoulders should be feeling mighty loose and warmed up. Now we're gonna come into tabletop. So I always bring my blocks to the top 2 corners of the mat, but you don't have to do that. Okay, so let's go into that cat and cow action because we did ask the shoulders to flex and extend. Now let's ask the spine to do the same. So from tabletop, hands under shoulders, spread the fingers wide, knees under hips. As you inhale, drop your belly down towards the floor, lift your chest, lift your heart, look forward, not at the ceiling, just forward. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, ribs to the sky, chin to the chest, look at your belly button. Cat and cow, move with your breath. Inhale, drop the belly, but lift the chest, pull the heart forward. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, ribs to the sky, raising the back like a scared cat, cat pose. Inhale, cow pose, pull that heart forward. Exhale, cat. Let's do one more of each. Okay, and then we'll return to the center. So check out where you're at in your mat. We might have to move forward. I always like to think I'm sort of one handprint or so away from the top edge of my mat when I'm here. So make sure you're a little bit closer to the front. Spread the fingers again. Look to the space between your thumbs. Now we're going to come back to this idea later, but I want you to really think about pushing your hands into the floor to lift your chest up, so that the space between your shoulder blades is not a valley, and it might be hard to see because I'm in a darker colored shirt, but here, the space between my shoulder blades is now a valley, which shows me that my chest muscles are not working, that they can't be working when they're in this position. So you've got to push your hands into the floor, like you're lifting your chest, like you're growing your chest away from the mat, like your not your legs, your arms like almost get longer. Okay, so maintain that, step into a plank position. So anytime we're in plank, you're welcome to be on your toes, you're welcome to be on your knees, but make sure you're not in a tabletop. Your hips should not be bent. The front of your hips should be long, no hip flexors creasing. Okay, inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. Stay in this downward facing dog for just a few breaths. Noticing how this down dog feels, probably your first down dog of the day. So what's going on? How are you feeling? Do you need to adjust something? Take a moment. And then we're going to move here, strengthening the upper body. Inhale, shift forward into plank. Now we're just going to hold this plank still. Now, there's lots of different ways to work your muscles. One is to move, right? So something like chest presses, bicep curls, tricep extensions, squats, burpees, those things strengthen your body, but so does staying still sometimes. So feel that work. Inhale, exhale, downward facing dog. Give yourself a moment. This pose does take work, but it should feel like it takes less work than plank. Maybe not a lot less, but less. Okay, but we're gonna do that again. So inhale, shift forward, plank pose. Now, spread your fingers, push your hands down, lift your chest. Really make sure the chest is working. Spine is long, make sure your hips aren't hiked up. Drop them down low, tuck the tailbone, scoop the low belly, inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. All right, give yourself a moment or two. Maybe walk the dog, bend one knee at a time. Okay, now deeply bend the knees. Inhale, look forward to the space between the thumbs. Exhale, travel forward. Walk or step these first few into forward folded Tanasana. So I prefer a soft bend in the knees, certainly for the first few forward folds, but if not all of them, honestly. So maybe you have a soft bend in your knees, maybe you have a deep bend in your knees. But let your upper body relax, let the wrists relax, maybe roll them out. Maybe grab onto opposite elbows and sway. But take about 2 more breaths wherever you need to be. If you're holding on to elbows, slowly release. Inhale, lift up halfway. We're gonna hold it here for a few moments. So shift your weight back into your heels and really reach the crown of your head forward, your tailbone back, lengthen your spine. Make sure you're not rounding forward, really lengthen. I like to imagine that there is a yardstick sort of along from my lower back all the way up to the crown of my head, and I'm in line with that yardstick or that ruler. Okay, so this is Ardha Uttanasana, this half lift. Inhale, exhale, fold forward all the way, Uttanasana. Push the heels into the floor, and inhale, rise all the way up. Fingertips to the sky, maybe add a bit of a back bend. Bring the hands to the heart, take a deep breath. Okay, all right, sun salutations. So inhale, circle the arms up, fingertips up, maybe look up. Exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, step the right foot back, all the way back, coming into a runner's lunge. Now, when we're in these runner's lunges, make sure that your feet are hip distance apart. You truly did just step the foot back, not back and in, because that's often what people do. So drop your head. Is each foot in its own lane of traffic, or is it like you're on a tightrope? We want it to be each foot in its own lane of traffic. Okay. Now inhale, exhale, downward facing dog. Now take your time. This might take you several steps, several sort of moves to get into downward facing dog. That's all right. Okay, excuse me. Okay, being upside down and talking is sometimes a little difficult for me. Okay, now from downward facing dog, inhale, shift forward, plank pose. Now you're welcome to stay here. We've done a few of these already, but maybe you shift your weight into the right hand. Pick up the left, come into Vasisthasana, side plank pose. Left fingertips can reach to the sky, be at the hip, alongside the body. Maybe you look down, forward, or up, but feel the work happen through the right arm, right shoulder, right obliques, right side of the body. Stay for a moment. Inhale, return to plank. Exhale, slowly lower all the way to the floor. Keep the elbows in tight, work the triceps. Now bring the tops of the feet down onto the ground, arms alongside the body. Inhale, lift. Now, let your legs relax, but focus on really lifting your chest and your heart, but still looking down at your mat, or maybe a few inches in front of your mat, but certainly not the wall in front of you. Keep the back of your neck long. Lift your chest, lift your arms and hands, bring the hands a little closer together. Inhale, exhale, lower, hands under shoulders, and hook the toes under. Downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Might take you a moment to get there, that's all right. Okay, now slowly pick up the right foot, reach the right heel back, inhale. Exhale, draw the right knee forward towards the belly and quietly place the foot in between the hands. Now, check out your feet. Is each foot in its own lane of traffic? Mine, I know, are not. So move, adjust, fidget, wiggle, wobble. All right. And then checking in with the upper body. You want to be pushing the hands down, making sure we're not creating that valley, not shrugging the shoulders, but also not rounding the spine. So long spine. Again, think like that yardstick is placed against your back. Inhale. Exhale, step the left foot forward, forward fold Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. Push the heels down, inhale, rise. Fingertips to the sky, we're gonna do it again. Exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step the left foot back all the way back. So straight back, feet are hip distance. Arms are long, pushing the hands down, lifting the chest away from the floor, lengthening the spine. Inhale, exhale, downward facing dog. Take your time stepping back. It might take you several moves, several steps to get there. That's all right. Once you're there, spread your fingers as wide as they'll go. Inhale, shift forward, plank pose. You can stay or shift your weight into the left. Pick up the right. Right arm can rest alongside the body, hand at the hip, fingertips to the sky. But most importantly, your straight line. So you're not hiking your hips up. You're not sagging the hips down. That doesn't even feel good. Your arm is working. Your shoulder, your abs, your obliques, everything's working hard on that left side. So stay with it. One more breath. Inhale, return to plank. Exhale, slowly lower. All the way down. Bring the tops of the feet down. Arms alongside the body. Lift, reach, rise, engage. Now let the legs relax. Lift the chest. Reach the fingertips back. Keep the back of the neck long. Draw the palms a little closer together. Work your upper back. Okay. Inhale. Exhale, slowly lower. Hands under shoulders. Downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. All right. From down dog, pick up the left foot. Reach the left foot back. Inhale. Exhale, draw the left knee in towards the belly. Quietly place the foot in between the hands. Each foot in its own lane of traffic. Arms long, spine long, chest lifted. Inhale. Exhale, step forward, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise. Push the heels into the floor. That's what helps you lift. And we're going to come into our standing poses. Exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, step the right foot back, all the way back. Pivot your right foot. So that right heel is very firmly grounded. Now, your heels are on a tightrope. You're in heel to heel alignment. So the front heel, if you were to trace it all the way back, intersects with the back heel. But if that doesn't feel good for you, you can take sort of the heels hip distance, if that makes more sense. Okay, deeply bend the left knee. Push the left heel into the floor. And inhale, slowly rise, warrior two. Okay, so both feet, get these out of the way so you can see. Okay, so both feet are firmly pushing down into the floor as the crown of the head lengthens towards the ceiling and the arms reach out towards opposite walls. You let your shoulders relax. You soften your upper body. Now, we do want the upper body to work a little bit though. So you're not only reaching out in opposite directions, but can you hug your triceps, your upper arm, the back of your upper arm, into the bone? So the way I like to think of it is that you've got sort of countertops on either side and you're pushing down to lift up. You're using the muscles to lengthen. You're not just sort of reaching. You're using your muscles to create the action, to really have power and stability behind it. Okay, one more breath. All right, inhale. Exhale, reverse warrior. Sweep the left fingertips up and over. Now, right hand can come to the waist, the thigh, or the calf, but not a joint, as the left fingertips sweep up and over. Now, you're gonna feel a stretch to the left side of the torso. Left quad is working hard. Keep bending that knee. Now you can stay like this. This is not so much upper body. This is a little bit more core, but you can release that right arm, bring it up overhead like you're holding an orb up overhead. Do you feel your core turning on more? So make sure that it is truly turning on. You might have to draw it in a little bit. So we're not in a back bend. That's gonna tell me your abs are not turned on. Draw the ribs in as you reach the arms up overhead. Take a deep breath. Inhale, return to warrior two. And then come into side angle. Reach forward, bend the left bend the left elbow. The forearm rests on the top of the thigh. Right fingertips can reach straight up overhead or at a diagonal. Okay, heels pushing down, left quad still working. Now you might feel a stretch to the right side of your torso. That's all right. Now again, you've got two options of maybe making your core work a little harder. This is the last one on this side. The left arm might thread through and forward, especially if the right arm is straight up overhead, or again, that giant orb up overhead, and that one's hard. I haven't done this in a while. Okay, so it's like you're holding a giant orb up overhead, now reaching in the opposite directions. So legs are gonna feel like they're working harder, core is working harder, maybe a little in the arms, hug the triceps to the bone, one more breath. Inhale, return to warrior two. Take a deep breath, really ground through the feet, lengthen through the spine, inhale. Exhale, cartwheel the arms, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Okay, so that's the flow. It's short,
Short but mighty. All right, so if you want to take a vinyasa, a child pose, a down dog variation, whatever you need, before we come to the second side, here's your time. A vinyasa would be to inhale to a plank, exhale lower, inhale to your back bend, any back bend of your choice, exhale downward facing dog. We'll all meet in downward facing dog in one more breath. All right, from down dog, deeply bend the knees. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, travel forward. Walk, step, or jump. Forward fold Uttanasana. Let's do it right from here. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, step the left foot back. All the way back. I'm going to move around. Left foot back. Okay, pivot the foot. Heel to heel alignment. So it's like both heels are resting on the same tightrope. Push through the heels and slowly rise. Warrior two. Okay, so we want the feet far apart from each other. So a long stance, but not necessarily wide again. Each foot is on the same plane. I'm getting out of breath. Oh, goodness. Okay. So each heel is in that same plane. Arms reach out. Now, arms aren't working as hard as the legs. My legs are already feeling tired. So my home practice hasn't been very strong through quarantine. So reaching the arms out, but still hugging the muscle into the bone. So I want you to think about squeezing and contracting through your triceps. And it's a little tricky. So if you're at home thinking, I don't understand, that's okay. I'm probably not explaining it very well, but we want to get the triceps working. Again, I like to think I've got imaginary countertops on either side and I'm pushing down to lift. So triceps are working, but also through the lats. Okay, one more breath. Inhale, exhale, reverse warrior. Right fingertips sweep up and over, but don't release out of that lunge. Right quad should feel like it's working as the right side of the torso feels that stretch. Left hand can come to the waist, the thigh, the calf, or hold that imaginary orb up overhead, sort of up over the crown of your head, like you're reaching it back towards the back of your mat. But even though you're reaching your arms up overhead and back, you're not in a back bend. When I say back, I mean to the back of the mat, not what is currently behind you, right? So back towards your back foot, not back towards your backside. So not in a back bend. Draw the ribs in, draw the belly in, relax the shoulders, bend the right knee, take a deep breath. And then inhale, return, warrior two. Take a moment. Last one. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale, side angle. Parsvakonasana, side angle pose. So right elbow bends, forearm rests on the top of the thigh. Left fingertips can sweep up or at a diagonal, whatever you need. Now, hand can be at the hip. So you could stay here. The hope is, I keep checking my form. The hope is that your front knee stays over your ankle. I guess I'm struggling with that today. All right. So you might just stay here. Might be all you need. I'm working hard. You might reach the right fingertips forward, feel the core turn on more, or that invisible orb up overhead, and that is no joke. So feel your abs turn on, but again, not a back bend. Ribs in, belly in, arms up and overhead. Legs are strong. Push the heels into the floor. I don't know if this is showing up on camera, but my right leg is shaking. That's okay. Take a deep breath. And then return to warrior two. Inhale. Exhale, cartwheel the arms, step back, downward facing dog. You want to take a vinyasa, you're welcome to, or a child's pose, a tabletop, whatever you need. Okay. Give yourself a moment. Take a deep breath wherever you're at. Okay, and then we'll all meet in tabletop. So from wherever you're at, let's meet in tabletop. And we're gonna be kneeling for a little bit. We've got a few different movements to strengthen the upper body, different parts of the upper body. So if you wanna put like a kink in your mat, to put a little cushion under your knees, you're welcome to, or if you've still got that towel or blanket from earlier, you can do that too. All right, so we're gonna start in tabletop. Now we're gonna start with these movements that are called rhomboid push-ups. And push-ups make people think of bending at the elbows, right? That's not what we're doing. Your elbow, imagine you've got like a cast on it or a brace on it. Your elbow is not going to move. What's going to move is your scapula and through the shoulders. So if you want to watch, you're welcome to, but if you've done this with me before, start those rhomboid push-ups. You can get in a few more. All right. So it's also not a cat and cow. Notice the movement I'm doing here. This is all in my pelvis. Notice that my shoulders, my scapula, my upper back are not moving. This is not what we're after either. That's a pelvic action. I want it to be your heart dropping to the floor. The space between your shoulder blades is now a valley. You're squeezing your shoulder blades together. You should feel them contract. And then push into the floor, lift your chest away like I was asking you to earlier to get your chest working. Now let the heart sag. Squeeze the shoulder blades in. You're going to feel this in your upper back. We're working your rhomboids here. It's a rhomboid push-up, not a regular push-up. And then you push down, lift up, pull your heart away from the floor. Now, do a few more of these like this. So remember, it's not in your pelvis. You shouldn't feel your hips and your rear end and your lower back moving. All the way up here. So you drop the heart, squeeze the shoulder blades in, push down, lift it up. Push down, drop down, squeeze in, lift up. Let's do about 3 more. Again, if you want to watch, you're welcome to. But I want you to feel this. You'll know you're doing it quote unquote right if you feel like your shoulders are getting tired, if you feel the space between your shoulder blades feel potentially a feeling that they maybe have never felt before, because this gets at your rhomboids in a very different way. Your upper back and shoulders should be getting tired. I said we were going to do upper body strengthening. I didn't say it was necessarily going to be the front of the body. Okay, now that's enough of that. I'm tired, so let's come down onto our stomach. That's enough of that body part. We're still going to work. All right, so we've been doing this sort of version of locust already, so let's build on that. So let's do that one more time. Tops of the feet down into the ground. I like legs together, but it's also okay to have them hip distance. I just like them together. Okay. All right. I like palms facing in towards my thighs. And you're going to look down at your mat, push your hips down, push your belly down, and lift your chest. Lift your shoulders, your arms, your hands and your fingers. Reach your fingers back towards your feet and your palms closer to each other. Lift the chest up. Lengthen the back of the neck. Make sure you're looking down at your mat. Stay for a breath. And then slowly lower down. You can stack your hands, maybe rest your cheek or your forehead. And just notice how you feel. Notice that you felt that work and that fatigue now through more so your mid back and your lower back. And that's okay. And that's not necessarily upper body, but I did want to give your upper body a little bit of a break. So take one more breath. Okay, let's do that one more time. You're gonna have the option to do the way we just did it, or if you need more, I'm gonna give you the option for that too. So it's sometimes helpful to sort of decide even here, if you're thinking, oh no, that was way too much, that's all I needed, or that was nothing, I need more. You're gonna have the option. Okay, so arms alongside your body, palms face in. Push the tops of the feet down, the thighs, the hips, the belly, the pubic bone, and lift your chest, arms, hands, lift the head. Lengthen the back of the neck, look down at your mat. Reach your fingertips back, palms in. You can stay here. You can interlace the fingers and reach the knuckles back. Now you're gonna get more into the rhomboids and the posterior deltoids. I forgot to mention those. The back of the shoulder girdle was working as well in those rhomboid push-ups, and it is here. You can stay here, or you can lift the legs. Now, feet can be together or hip distance, but no wider than hip distance, not a mat distance. That's not okay. All right, push the belly down, everything else up. Lift it up, squeeze in. If thighs are together, squeeze them in. One more deep breath, locust, shalabhasana. And then slowly lower down. Again, you can stack your hands, rest your forehead, rest your cheek, whatever you need. But give yourself some time staying flat on your stomach. Oftentimes after poses like this, people want to go right into a child's pose. And you can do a child's pose in a few minutes, or honestly, in like 30 seconds. but you can't because I'm gonna have you do something else. But you could theoretically. But you don't want to go right into it. You don't want to go right from one thing directly into its opposite. I think about how we don't like going from, we don't even like here in Chicago 1 week, Monday is 100 degrees and Friday is even 60 degrees. We don't like those swings. Your body doesn't like those sorts of swings. Those are quick like that. So imagine, again, I like to think of it like temperatures. I don't know if that was clear. Sorry, that was sort of a little like unclear of what I was trying to get across, but I think about it like that. Okay, so we're gonna come back to tabletop. Enough of me talking like that. All right, tabletop. Now what we're gonna do, and this is our last little bit of like work, and then we're gonna rest. We're gonna work our triceps. I mentioned when we were in Warrior 2, hugging the triceps to the bone. When you do a chaturanga, and you're sort of lowering like that, you're working your triceps. But let's work them again, just to be sure. So you're actually gonna come down onto your forearms here. So more or less your elbows and shoulders are stacked and your palms are flat in front of you. Now what we want to avoid is the spine here coming into a back bend. So just like the rhomboid push-ups weren't about what my seat and my lower back and my hips were doing, this is also not about moving here in your pelvis, but it also can't be sort of stuck in this like seat up position. We need to draw the belly in, lengthen the spine. We want to brace the core, protect the lower back, all of those things. So spine is going to be long. You're going to draw your ribs in a little bit, belly button in. You're going to just look down at the floor, push the palms into the floor, lift your forearms so they hover over the floor. Literally an inch, maybe less. They should not be coming up high. The higher they lift, the less work you're really doing. You want that hovering sensation. Stay for a moment, and then slowly lower. Okay, you should have felt it in your triceps, in the back of your upper arm, while you were lifting. We're gonna do that a few more times. Again, make sure that you're not letting your seat swing up towards the ceiling. You should feel nothing in your back. This is not at all about your core the littlest bit, but it's not about feeling anything in your torso. You should be feeling it all in the triceps. Okay, so you're just gonna look down at the space between your forearms, keep the neck long, push the palms down, lift the forearms, lift the elbows. They just hover, half an inch, maybe less over the ground. Now you're drawing your belly in, your ribs in, and you're clawing your hands into the mat. Triceps are working. One more breath. And then slowly lower. Okay, we're gonna do that one more time. You wanna roll out your wrist or whatever you gotta do. Maybe you can take that back bend or sort of these cat and cows here. That's fine for while you're sort of in between or resting, but not while we're doing it. Okay, last one, and then we're gonna stretch. So, palms flat, spread the fingers. You again are clawing into the floor, which means really sort of squeezing, like as if someone's trying to pull the mat out from under you. I was gonna give another analogy, but I think I'm done with analogies today. They're starting to not make sense. The one I was about to say was really dumb. Okay, it was like, I was gonna say like how magicians like take the tablecloth when there's like all the stuff on the table. That's so dumb. I'm sorry I wasted your time. Okay, palms down, fingers spread, climb down, lifting up. Quarantine, I think, is really starting to get to me. Just talking to my phone all day, this camera. Okay, claw at the mat, like someone's trying to rip it out from underneath you. Lift your elbows up, lift your forearms up just a little bit, hover. I might have to drop mine down a little. Draw the ribs in. Make sure you're protecting your lower back by engaging your core a little bit. Stay for one last breath, and then lower down. Okay. My triceps were feeling that. All right, we're gonna come down onto our backs and we're just gonna relax. All right, so come on down onto your back. All right, I like arms out in opposite directions, but I sort of don't have room, so my arms are gonna be more at like a diagonal. But we want the palms up and we just want some space for the inside of the arm. All right, knees bent, feet flat. Let's let the knees and legs just sway side to side. All right, now your feet and knees can be together. Your feet and knees can be hip distance. Your feet might be really close to your seat. They might be farther away. really what we're trying to do is a combination of two things. We're going to come into a spinal twist in a moment, and I want your spine to be sort of ready for it and expect it. I want your lower back to sort of expect the movement and be prepared for it. So that's why we're doing this, because we're twisting the spine a little bit, but also this should feel good on your lower back. And where you place your feet is going to depend, it's going to change the feeling of your lower back, massaging and pressing into the floor. So that's really, when you're thinking about where should I put my feet, it's like, where does it feel the best for your lower back? Okay, and then whatever pace you're currently working at or moving at, slow it down by 15 to 20%. Yeah, that sounds good. Maybe 25%. Let your legs go to each side, maybe one more time. And then slowly return to the center. All right, once you're at the center, scoot your hips over to the right 2 to 3 inches. Now, here you've got an option. You can keep your legs just like this, or you could cross your right leg over the left. That's gonna make every part of this pose more intense, so your call. But you let your legs fall over to the left. So maybe they're just stacked, or maybe one leg is crossed. Play with it. Again, the way you know you're doing the pose right, and I'm doing air quotes just in case you're not looking, is you're doing the pose in a way that feels good. That's what the answer is. Students always ask, how do I know if I'm doing the pose right? First and foremost, if it feels good, you're probably doing it right. There are certainly some things that we've got to really look at form, you know, especially if you've got an injury or whatever, but usually the answer is if it feels good, do it that way. Okay, so find a version of this pose that feels good. Maybe you turn at your neck to look over your right shoulder. And we'll take several slow breaths here. Just letting the body soften and enjoy the stretch. Take 3 more deep breaths here. And then if your head is turned, slowly return your head back to the center. Slowly do the same with your legs. Return your legs to the center, your hips to the center. Take a deep breath with everything in neutral. Notice how you feel. All right. One more time, let's let the knees sway side to side and come back to that slower pace. Maybe even slower than the slower one. And just noticing, how does this feel? How do I feel having done a pose on one side and not yet the other? And notice what layer you keep tapping into. When I'm asking you, or anyone's asking you, or you're asking yourself, how do I feel? Are you always tapping into the physical layer? Well, my right hip feels this, but my left hip feels this. Or are you tapping into more of an emotional, mental, introspective feeling? I'm feeling anxious because we did one side and not yet the other, and it makes me feel uneasy, or asymmetrical. I feel anxious because I don't like Shavasana, or whatever, I don't know. I think everybody likes Shavasana, but maybe not. I think it takes time. Okay. I'm super chatty today. I'm sorry I'm not giving you much silence. You'll get it in Shavasana. Okay, once you're back at the center, scoot the hips over to the left. Cross, if you want, you can cross your left leg over your right. I can tell that that's not gonna feel good for me. So I'm not doing that, you don't have to. And then let the legs fall over. So again, you can cross or uncross. Arms ideally out with the palms up. Maybe you turn at your neck to look over your left shoulder. And then you notice how you feel. And you just stay with it. You stay present with whatever is going on. In any layer, any level, wherever you want to be tapping into, just tap inward. Stay for 3 more breaths. If your head is turned, slowly return it to the center. Return your legs to the center, your hips to the center. Notice how you feel. Take some deep breaths. Inhale. Exhale, hug your knees into your chest. Take any movement, stretch, pose that feels good. Maybe some movement of rocking and swaying. Maybe some happy baby. Whatever you need. Give yourself maybe 3, 4 breaths wherever you'd like to be. And then you can stand your back. Whenever you're ready, you can settle into Shavasana. I'm going to come up to a seat, but you can stand your back. And you just set yourself up in any way that you like. Props or no props, or legs long, knees bent, whatever you need. To put yourself in a position that is the most comfortable position that you can create right now in this moment with what you've got. So there's sort of a lot of clauses to that, but think about positioning yourself as comfortable as you can possibly be in this moment with what you've got. And being gentle with yourself that instead of thinking, maybe I should be doing that, or maybe I should be, don't overthink Shavasana. And I'm speaking out there to people who are like me, who overthink everything. So don't overthink Shavasana, find a comfortable position. That's your Shavasana, there you go. Okay, so Shavasana is a pose that in Sanskrit means, or translates to, in English, corpse pose. So the idea is that you are just laying on your back in a pose that doesn't feel like a stretch, that doesn't feel like you're lengthening or stretching or opening. All those things are good, but we already did that. And this pose also doesn't feel like you're working or concentrating or exerting in any way, because we already did that. We're now in the portion of class where it's about calming down, quieting down, releasing tension, relaxing the body and the mind, to just relax every layer. I asked you to notice what layer you often tap into. Now just relax all of them, every single layer. Can you relax every layer of your being? And just rest.
And as you deepen your breath, create soft, subtle movements throughout the rest of your body. Rock your head side to side. Run your thumbs over the rest of your fingers as you wiggle your toes. Roll wrists and ankles. Move arms and legs. You can reach your arms overhead, stretching as if you just woke up from a long nap. Fingertips and toes in opposite directions. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, hug your knees in towards your chest. And slowly roll over onto either side in a tucked fetal position, resting your ear on your arm to support your head and neck. And keeping your eyes closed and using the strength of both arms, push down into the ground and come up to a comfortable seat. And take a moment here to thank yourself for making it to your mat today. And maybe reflect on your intention. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. And may the thoughts, words, and actions of my life contribute in some way to the happiness and freedom for all. Now slowly join your hands together in front of your heart in Anjali Mudra. To seal our practice, we'll chant the sound of Om one time. Om is the oldest and most sacred mantra. It's said to be the seed sound, the first sound that ever existed, and all existing sounds stemmed from the sound of Om. It lives in all of us and unites us together. Again, we'll chant the sound of Om one time. Let's start with a deep and clearing breath. Inhale for Om. The light or the good in me acknowledges, respects, and bows to the light or the good in you. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me, for following along. Again, my name is Lauren. I am the Yoga and Fitness Program Coordinator at the McFettridge Sports Center, and I hope to see you really soon there in real life, taking class in a group of people. I miss that. Okay, but hopefully we'll be doing that soon. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Bye.